starting off, we're going to take our two-piece basic metal gun ring and we're going to check it over, make sure everything's all good, make sure it's all tight and in place, because once we start, if it's off center or wonky, then it will be too hard to fix. And then once we've done that, we're going to move over to our car body filler and we're going to grab a big lump of it, scraping it off, add a couple drops of activator, and then we're going to mix it together so that we can begin. Once we have finished evenly mixing out our body filler, we're going to take a glob of it on the end of our finger and we're going to begin by dabbing it on into position. We're not too worried about the shape at the moment, we just want to get all the material on there so that we can shape it later. When we have successfully shaped the main body of the filler, we are going to dab into the sides to get rid of any extra which has fallen over. This will help us later when we need to sand in the shape, give us a little bit less work to do, make it easier on ourselves. Once we've done that on either side, we are going to grab a little bit more of the filler and we're going to match it on the other side of the gun ring. We're going to be careful not to put any on the screw itself, although it's not too important, you can always replace it later if you need to. After giving it sufficient time to dry, we have now got solid filler on either side. We're just going to double check, make sure it's all solid. If it's too sticky, we just need to wait a little bit more. It can feel a bit rubbery as well, but now that it's all nice and solid, I'm going to grab a file and we're going to start shaping it. I'm going to begin by filing down the bottom of the ring, as this is just a flat spot, nice and easy. Just get the consistent flatness of the ring all filed in. Once I've done that, I'm going to go around to the sides of the ring and then we're going to basically do the same thing. We're going to put in the shape of the ring itself. So I'm going to just cut just below where I want the weld to end and I'm going to file into it and flatten down to the ring's metal surface. Once we have filed in the limitation for our weld, we are then going to come back over and begin shaping it with the file. First thing I like to do is form an arch over the top, and then we're going to do the same thing along the bottom. I'm being careful to move quite slow. It's a pretty quick process. You can easily file away a bit too much of the filler, so I'm moving a little bit slower. To form it, I'm just rolling it around the edges, along the top, along the bottom, to create my shape. You can just take your time with it, make it look however you want. There's not a lot of consistency when it comes to welding, so just go wild with it, be crazy, make it look however it is that you want it to. Now that we are satisfied with the general shape of the one side, we're going to flip it over and move on to the other side, where we are going to basically repeat exactly what we just did. We're going to start by removing any little extra bits that's just loosely on there, and then we're going to shape over the top. We're going to curve it over, then along the bottom curve it back around again, and then just kind of curve around the sides just to round it off a little bit. We don't have to be symmetrical. I like a bit of asymmetry, so I made both the welds look kind of different. This one, as you can see, has a bit of a arch through the middle, which makes it look like a kind of a consecutive weld, rather than just a quick little tack, which the other side looks like. If that is something which you are interested in trying to do for yourself, the way you do it is similar to how you shape the top of the weld. You're going to arch it over but halfway down in the middle of the weld to basically form the top of the second part of that weld. You can do that as many times as you want. If you want it to look a little more intricate, you can do it on one side, both sides. It doesn't really matter, whatever it is that you want to do to make it your own. I like to do just the one side with that. When we're happy with the shape of the weld on either side of the gun ring, what we're going to do is move over to a sanding block or a sanding sponge. And I'm going to start with a 60 grit, then move to a 240, and then finish with a 400 to give the smooth texture of metal. We're going to go over it following the shape of the weld, rolling it around the sides, along the top, along the bottom. And I'm also going to go over the ring itself to remove any tiny parts of the filler which has just been left around. This is basically the finishing step and prepping in for when we paint it. When we're done sanding, I'm just going to check over it, make sure that I'm happy with the shape of the welds on either side. This is the last chance which you really get to change it before you paint it, so I'm just going to double check, and here I decide I want to change the shape slightly, so I'm just going back and then filing, and I'm just going to go back over it with the sanding block afterwards. But once I've done that, I've got my completed welds on either side and I'm happy with the shape. So now I'm going to move on to the paint. So I'm going to use this bright silver metallic paint. Got a bit of metallic flake in it, so it'll blend in with the metal of the gun ring itself. I'm going to grab a bit of paper to the side, which I'm going to wrap around the head of the screw so I don't spray it bright silver. Again, you could just remove the screw and replace it with a new one if that's what you want to do, or just spray it black again afterwards. When I'm done with the first side of the gun ring, I'm going to move over to the second side and repeat what I just did, again covering the head of the screw to the best of my ability, and then spraying the paint evenly over the top and bottom, keeping a distance of at least 20 centimeters because you don't want to be too close, otherwise it will pull up, especially with the metallic paints. After I've done that, I'm going to hit the bottom of the ring and then the top of the ring to make sure I get the sides and bottom of the weld itself, and it will look like one complete thing that's all shiny and looks all metal. And this is what it looks like when I am done.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.